So tonight we have the insider drag story with Tola and Ikraam. So you are in there. Hi, good evening, everybody. It's Abdul Sayed here with Motor Talk with Witzenberg, Motorpraatjies met Witzenberg. And tonight we have some really special guests. Really special guests. We're going to get some insider trading, but like really insider information as far as drags are concerned. And I see there we have, hey, Duan, hoe gaan het met jou, Duan? He's one of our regulars there. Good evening to you. And just as a matter of interest, Duan sent me a private message last week to ask if he can help at the Gymkhana. And I said, the minute we get the calendar and we get stuff sorted out, he's most welcome to come and help us at the next Gymkhana. And because we need people in the background as well to make it happen. But anyhow, on tonight's episode, we're going to get some really good information regarding drags. And we have two people that I kind of know one of them since before he was born. The other gentleman I kind of used to see at the drags. And so I just want to also say hi to my co-host Byron. Byron, are you well there?
I'm very well, thanks, Abdul. Hope you're well.
I'm always well. I hope 2021 is treating you well, Byron. Like always, you always full of energy, positivity, and everything.
Always, Abdul. You know, new year, new season, more events coming up, and hopefully things get a little bit easier with. I don't want to talk about COVID because I'm sick and tired of COVID, and things get a little bit more. But dates have been, of the Killarney calendar have been released today, which is very positive, and hopefully we'll nail down the specifics, of course, in due time. But it's actually good to be. Good start to the year, and to have some of the drag guys on, such a huge following year, especially in Cape Town.
Absolutely. We're hoping to get between 6 and 8 dates for 2021, and we're on our 13th episode already. And so for the Gymkhana guys, I'm hoping to get mid-year, somewhere around in June, maybe do a little jamboree. I must just check with the organizers if we can do a jamboree, like a Gymkhana and maybe a short circuit, and as well as a drag. So maybe the guys with drag cars can come and have some fun with the Gymkhana cars as well. So, but tonight's guest, let's get back to tonight's guest. The first guest I want to introduce to is Tola Daniels, and where his nickname came from, I believe from high school, but we will chat to him a little bit more about where that nickname comes from. So, Assalamu alaikum, Tola. Welcome to our show tonight.
Wa alaikum salam. Good evening, all the listeners and viewers. Nice to be here.
Yeah, we're really honored to have you on our show tonight. The man with the fastest black Escort there. I used to just see an Escort, when I used to come to drags, I'm not a Ford guy, so, but that Escort was always neat and tidy. And when that turbo starts spooling, that Escort is flying. So welcome to our show, Tola. And I know you are a man with lots and lots of years of experience of drag racing behind you, as well as, we won't mention the road racing part, but let's get to that later on. And so we're looking forward to hearing from you, your story, where you started, the kind of car. I believe you bought a new car as well, or a bigger engine, different suspension setup. I'll be very excited to listen to your story tonight. And my other guest is my other friend, Ikraam Bulbia. Assalamu alaikum, Ikraam. Welcome to our show tonight.
Alaikum salam. Good evening, everybody. Nice to be here, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, and I must tell you guys a little story of Ikraam. I know him before he was born. So he didn't even know that I knew him. So that's literally, genuinely the truth. I knew his parents, his mother, when she was pregnant with him. So I know he looks as old as me, but it's okay. Yeah, it's all the drag racing, the stress that, that farmers go faster and faster, makes him look my age. But anyhow. So basically, guys, what we can do the program for tonight, because we have to go and pray in the next couple of minutes. And so who was this here? Ikraam Bulbia. Yes, I definitely know him before he was born.
Even him.
Okay, I wouldn't know. Is this your brother, Imo?
Imran, yes.
Oh,
He
okay.
was
Well, I knew him when he was a baby. So he was very small, and your mother was pregnant with you. That's how I knew you. So yes. So nice to hear from Imran there as well. Another madcapper with his cars he's been driving. I remember his Fox that he had, a white Fox that was really, really quick on the road. And his brother used to tune that Fox. I can remember those were the days, eh? But so tonight's program, what we're going to do is once the prayer time kicks in, which is in a couple of minutes, myself and Ikraam will go off and go and pray for all your guys' racing sins. And then we'll come back and in the meantime, Byron, my co-host, will chat to Tola about his experiences for racing. And then when myself and Ikraam comes back, then Tola will go and do his prayers to pray for your guys' racing sins as well, because there's a lot of sins that gets committed at that racetrack. I can tell you now, all the money that gets spent in those cars is unbelievable. I don't want to know about it. Anyhow, Byron, let's hear from you there, my friend.
Well, I'm going to say it like this. I'm not very experienced in drag racing. I don't know much about drag racing, so I feel I'm going to be schooled quite a lot tonight. So maybe starting with Tola, tell us about his start out in drag racing. Where did it all begin? What was the spark behind it?
Okay, the racing it started on Indiana, right? Because I live close to Indiana, and you could always hear the cars, and I think that's where the spark began. And then buddies of mine was with Fords, and my father had Fords. That's where the Ford thing comes into it, and that's where the racing started. And then from Indiana, we moved over to Killarney, and then it went to Wingfield, and when Wingfield closed down, we went full-time to Killarney. And then the Speed and Sound came along. We went up to the birthday bash. That was in 2004. Where first I could see, okay, what the racing is like in Joburg. And that's where it really kicked off. And then 2005, Cape Town guy, basically everyone in South Africa, they had teamed in every province. And then we got invited up. It was North versus South. We all went to the race up there. And then from there, Speed and Sound sponsored myself and a couple of other guys, and from there we just never looked back.
So your start, if you go all the way back, I think I read it's about 1995, around about that part in the mid-90s?
Yeah, that when Wingfield days and that roundabout there. I can't remember exactly when, it's been long.
Byron, just before I don't want to cut me, but I want to say hi to Siraj Rylands, one of the ace tuners in Cape Town, and I had a chat with him last week, and we're going to get him and first him and his team on soon on the show from a tuning perspective. So that's going to be very exciting because we've never had a tuner on our show yet, and he's really going to talk to us about tuning cars and stuff like that. And then we're getting a whole group of the tuners on at a later stage to discuss, the tuning part of race cars and stuff like that. So sorry, Byron, I just wanted to tell you guys about this.
No, not at all. So moving on to Ikraam. So your side, Ikraam, where was your start? Now, judging because Abdul, so that already tells you there's motorsport within the family and friends and everything. So where was your start, and how did everything come about?
So I didn't actually started only in 2004 or 5, but I've always been involved with motor mechanical work. I used to work on Abdullah Imam's cars. I used to always service them and make them fast, obviously. I gave that motor racing up in 1999, 2000 to pursue other career, but I was also involved with Mertec back in the 90s. And like Tolas was speaking about Winfield, we used to be there quite often. I never raced there. I never had a race car at the time, but we used to always be there supporting the guys and seeing how fast they can get. And in 2004, 2005, I actually started. I came to Killarney. I saw Tola with his Escort. He had, I think, a 2-liter Pinto motor, 8-valve, with NOS on. And this car ran like in the 13s. And I said, wow, I'm also going to start doing this. In fact, a friend of mine, Riaz Khan, he went out to do an event, and he came back with his Honda, and he was also bragging about it. And then we bought 2 Caddy Bakkies, and it was a 16-valve motor in there, both of us, and we started off like that. I think my first time out to the drag strip was like 15 odd in 2004, and from there, obviously, things got better always,
But Byron, just before you say something, I want to say hello to Fatima Khabir there. Fatima, I'm gonna hold you responsible for coming to the next Gymkhana, eh? Because you're supposed to be at the last one, and then you chose, I think it was some rallying thing or something, if I'm not mistaken. So we're looking forward to seeing you at the next Gymkhana. I have got confirmation from Kilani today about dates. I'm submitting our dates tomorrow, so we're hoping to get between 6 to 8 events for the year, for 2021. So Fatima, you want to bring that Subaru around and come and show us what it can do after you've taken it on the dirt there. Sorry, Byron, back to you.
No, not at all. You're just pointing out to one of our, like you were saying about one of our Gymkhana queens, Fatima Kabir, and it just shows you how everything just intertwines. Drag racing has been in Killarney for many years now. Now, guys, this is for both Ikraam and Tola as well. It's a very controversial. Yes.
Byron, can you excuse myself and Ikraam? We're just going to do our prayers, and you chat to Tola, and we'll be back, and then we can kind of just continue where we left off.
Continue, yeah.
Okay, so just excuse myself and Ikraam. We're going to pray and then come back soon. Okay, cool.
All right, so Tola, now I just want to go into one thing first before I actually go on to another question. I'm always about technique and always about things when it comes to racing. Now, I don't know anything about how drag racing works. I'll probably, if I did a drag race, I'll be horribly, out of touch. But tell me about the technique behind response time and of course, everything to do with the car as well. Now, this is something, it's not just going in a straight line we're talking about here. There's a whole lot more to it.
Yeah, definitely a whole lot more to it. I wish I could go in a straight line. With rear-wheel drive steering from the rear, I think I was more sideways and straight in any case. Look, each and every car, the setup is different, right? You got to start on something and work your way forward. Try one thing that doesn't work, you try next thing. So it's trial and error. Some techniques, any seasoned drag racer will know, you don't wait for the green light. You get the front tree, so you know the speed of the tree, so yeah, you don't wait for the green light. And then reaction time, that involves a reaction time. The most important thing that I think on the drags is your 60-foot time. Quick 60-foot time. Then the rest of the track comes easy. If you got the best 60-foot time, you can't make up that 60-foot time on the rest of the track, definitely not. So guys, work on your traction, work on your 60-foot. If you get that down to a T, you're good to go.
So, because often I see guys and girls come in as well, and then they lay down the rubber. So you'll see at Killarney, if you go to the drag strip, the tarmac is incredibly smooth. We've gone over it in the Gymkhanas before. So there's a lot of traction being, rubber being put down. And then just the mindset from there as well, reversing back into the start blocks and everything, waiting for the lights and so on. You said, of course, you don't go on the green light. There's a way of doing it, like basically not a delayed reaction, but sort of an anticipated reaction.
Yeah. You always want fresh rubber. So the guys with the bigger horsepower cars, you'll see they always wait for a bigger horsepower car to run ahead of them to lay down fresh tracks. So you try and run in those tracks because then the traction is the best. Trying to stay in their tracks, that's the problem. Look, Ilana, the whole track is not the drag strip, right? So it's only prepped till about, I think, the first 100 foot. So if you can't get traction there, you're not going to get traction the rest of the track, that's for sure.
No.
And look, is not all the guys, but most of the guys run full drag slicks. There's different compounds with the drag slicks. There's different, it's all, you've got to really trial and error, see what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Certain compounds work for better horsepower, higher horsepower cars, some work for lighter cars, some work better on manual transmission, some work better on the auto transmission. So it's a lot.
And because now talking about auto transmissions as well, now we're talking about no clutch control, so basically it's just put your foot down and just go. So that takes a whole different technique on its own, I would think, as well, because what happens is you're not having to think about clutch release and all kinds of things.
Yeah, You've got to try and get that fine point what works and suits you best for you, suits you and your car best. Your RPM is maybe a bit high, you're going to wheel spin. Your RPM is a bit too low, you're going to bog out of the line. So you've got to get that sweet spot. And then that comes with experience, and seat time is most important.
Mm-hmm.
The more seat time you get, the better you get to know the car, the handling of the car. You and your car actually grow together, you become one. Once you get that right, and then, yeah, you're set to go.
Do some of the guys, I don't know, now let's talk about clutch, for example. Now, if you get the revs right, of course, there's the chance that you don't need to use the clutch. Do you have a lot of guys that do that more? Or is it still basically, let's keep it conservative, let's use the clutch, change up?
Okay, it depends on the transmission, of course. If you've got a full single, then you got to use the clutch. Otherwise, you can be grating gears. You get other boxes. You get a clutchless box. You use the clutch just to launch, and then it's dog gears, straight cut. You just push the gears in, and there you go. You don't need to use the clutch again. Then you get the clutch assisted ones, where you just got to break the torque, and then you can select the following gear. But here in Cape Town, most of the guys are using synchro boxes, so they got to use the clutch.
I have to use the clutch. So I know when you talk about some guys in the past as well, we just get the rev timing nicely, so that it actually didn't have to flip the clutch. But sometimes that can be a bit risky, especially in a high pressure moment.
Yeah. If you don't, as I say, the more seat time you get, the better you become. I've always ran a synchro box. Flat foot shifting, got it down to a T because you get to know the car. Basically, you use the clutch just to pop the thing out of gear. You don't use the clutch, isn't in when it goes into the next gear. So you find the spot on the box. Yeah.
Is that a 5-speed box? 5-speed box?
Yeah. The previous was a 5-speed box, but I went down in 4 gears on it. The 5th gear was an overdrive.
So overdrive, basically a spare at the end of it. You just go up to 4th.
Yeah.
And that's when you're braking.
Yes, the gear that crossed the line, you preferably want that gear to have a 1:1 ratio. So if you don't have a close ratio box, like with the 5th gear overdrive, you're not going to use that gear because you're not going to be accelerating in that gear then.
All right. Well, Carl just informed me that there is a video of your Escort that doing a burnout at the start. So if we can actually get that video up, that would be something great to show. I said to Scott.
So Daniel's in the right hand lane. How sideways is this car going to get now? We're going to wait and see. You know, Sunday this morning I heard when Fuller went through engineering, the guy told me this. And he was a really nice man. I was so taken to say, my brother, that's the first to take that turbo in the country.
Well, later, because mooi gepolish en ons die ligte wat my so laat blink.
So that video, thanks Kyle for showing. And first and foremost, Tola, I just need to ask you something over here. Do drag racing guys hate tires, for example? Because what happens is you guys treat them so terribly. What happens is it's a one-use only, and then they're on the burning tire heap. So that's some that's the case in point we were talking about earlier on about laying the rubber down and getting that traction off the line.
Yeah, you've got to get heat into the tires for the grip. So you do your burnout to get the heat in it, and then you pull it through the line to get the fresh rubber down on the track. And then you'll see guys back you up into that groove, into those 2 tracks, because the traction is going to be the best there. Yes, you got to get it down. As I say, some guys prefer to overcook the tires. I don't know why. But with my experience, if you overcook the tires, you're not going to get traction. So, yeah, each guy has their own preference.
Well, welcome back to Abdul and to Ikraam.
Yeah, Tola, do you want to go and take a break to go pray for Ikraam? I'm going to tell you guys a quick joke. We had Uncle Farouk Dango on a couple of weeks ago. He used to do circuit racing in the old days with some really fast BMWs and the Vauxhall, I think he used to have, the touring car. And he told us a little joke. He said on a Friday, he used to go to pray, and when he came back to the track, he was a second quicker. So maybe Ikraam, next time you guys, before you race, you pray, you might be a second quicker. Who knows?
Maybe.
Ikraam, tell us, Baran, I don't know what you discussed with Tola, but just with Ikraam. Ikraam, I'm not very familiar with drags. I just know, you gotta have traction. You gotta put your foot down and get the car to the other side as quick as possible. Tell us about this traction story. I mean, I know on your Golf you run different tires in the front and different tires to the back and different compound. Tell us a little bit about the tires and the traction of this cars of yours.
Yeah, so I'm running a 23-inch in front. First of all, the car is a full street car. So I never wanted to blow up the fenders or cut anything or do anything to the car. So all I did is it was a lot of trial and error, and Dave Ingle was one of the people to really be there to assist me with shocks, with engine shocks, air shocks, and all of the necessary. So I run a 23-inch tire in front. We run a 13-inch thin 175 at the back. And like Tola said, that it's all depends on your burnout, the amount of track bite that you do. I normally want to try and do a good time. I try and stand behind Tola Daniels or Valinel, all those cars that actually array good rubber down. And if you go after them, the track is nice and sticky, and the right launch, the right rev, hold your handbrake, grab the gear lever. So it's a lot of things to do at the same time. But also being continuously doing the exact same thing, you obviously just get better at it all the time.
Okay, so Duan's got a comment here. How many issues have you guys had on the diff of the rear-wheel drive? Okay, now we wait for Tola to come and talk about it because Ikraam's cars are front-wheel drive. Now, Ikraam, I had the privilege and honor of, all your cars are road legal cars. They're licensed. You drive them to the track and you can drive them back home.
Yes.
Right? So that is, and I had the honor and privilege of actually driving both your cars, the white one as well as the cream one. And I actually dragged that white one once at for Santa Cruz, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And
yes.
That's an unbelievable little car because you drove that car apparently to Port Elizabeth with people in the car, East London, with people in the car, dragged, won your class, and drove the car back home.
No, we took the car down to race it. We never got to race the white car, but we drove it all the way down to East London. We had when we got there, we had a little bit sticky gear shift because the car has been racing for many years without doing any gearbox really over. So we decided not to race the car, but we raced the cream car. But we drove the car, 4 of us in the car, all the way from Cape Town to East London, and drove the car back. We would have raced it, but we were a little bit afraid of maybe breaking the gearbox, and we didn't have space for the box and so forth. In fact, when we got to PE, Imran, a friend of ours from Autograph Racing, he actually helped us to swap the gearbox out, and then we drove to East London with it and drove it home again.
Okay, so your love
that particular car has been. I bought that engine from Dave Ingle in 2006. Sorry, in 2006. Yes. Yeah, 2006, and he raced that engine quite a while, and it's been the same engine. And I put it in my caddy bucky. I used to drive the caddy bucky and race the bucky for 2 years. It was my everyday vehicle. Then I decided to transfer it over into a Mark 1 Golf, and obviously it just got better with the times, and it's been in that Golf since then. And that car you could back to Joburg and back. Herman Munker from Mace tuned the car for me. And the engine is built by Dave Ingle, and I think the motor is right now could be 2006, and Dave had the engine for a year or 2 years. So yes, it's quite an old motor already. It's like 15 years old.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. So you, I believe the day you were born, you were kind of born in a workshop. I mean, that's what your parents told me. So that's where your love for cars started. So I know that you're busy. Well, you started off with a white car, right? Which is like, it's an absolutely awesome car. Not so long ago, you took my son in a spin with that car. Actually, you guys went somewhere, and he came back, and he thought the car had a turbo in. And then you built the cream car, which currently has got, it's the fastest road legal Golf Mark 1 NA in the country, 11.9 seconds at Killarney on the MSA Drags. Tell us a little bit about that special car.
Yes, so after getting the white car down to a 13 dead on street tires, no fancy, nothing, no fancy, just a normal coil-over kit suspension. It was quite a nice car to get off the line continuously. We decided that we needed to build a new project, and we went in for a 2-door Golf. And we started off running in the 12s. I think my first time out was in 2010 with that car, and we did a 12.7 or 12.6. I'm not too clear about it. I think it was a 12.8. And obviously, Dave Ingle again, he built that engine for me. He's been my backbone with my cars from the day I started racing. Since I bought that 1800 engine from him, he's been supporting me and assisting me with anything I require. So yes, we did a mile 2-liter engine. We went up down to 12.6, and then Dave Ingle said, "Look, I've got some big cams, and we can rebuild. We can build a new engine." And we started again, and we went back out, and we did a 12.3, and then changed tires, changed exhaust, changed shocks, worked on air suspension for the back to keep the back stiff, and we came right down to 11.9 in 2013. Actually, into 2012, we did it a 11.9, and we backed it up in 2013, 14. We came back in 15. We did it again. 16, I never raced. 17, I never raced, and then yes, came back in 18, did it again. So the car is actually retired because one of the reasons of retiring the car is that it's a full street car. And after doing 11.9, they wanted me to put a roll cage in. I only found it after it was just a U-bar to protect me. But I decided, look, it's best for me just to move on, retire that car and start building a new project, which is supposed to be done already 2 years ago. But let's hopefully by this year that we can pull out our new car with new aims and go faster, put a roll cage in, and see what we can do. It's again going to be another street car with a roll cage in.
Okay, so Ikraam or Nadia, hello, how are you? I know you're always well. I got some good news for you guys, Gymkhana ladies and guys. I got some provisional dates today. I'll confirm it with him over the next couple of days, and you guys should have your calendar by early next week. So that special Subaru that you've got there, you got to get it ready for the future Gymkhanas. Okay, so Byron, I see Tola's back, and just as he came back from praying, he can cut a second of that time. You know how it works. After you pray, you go a second quicker. So Byron, do you have any questions? I think you want to address something with Tola about the diff or something.
I know that earlier on Doan had that comment, of course, how many issues you guys have with the diff on the rear wheel drive. I know you asked Ikraam, so asking Tola, of course, the Escort being, or the Mark 1s and Mark 2 Escorts, of course, always being rear wheel drive, and very famously so. Tell us more about the as far as diff is concerned and everything, like a diff lock, all kinds of things.
Okay, most of the higher power cars use the M75 diff that you get from your Hilux buckies, your Courier buckies. Most of the LDVs have them because it's quite stronger than the original Escort gearbox, the rear wheel drive, Toyota diff, the Nissan 1400 diff. Those are all basically the same diffs. They call the M68. Now the M75 diff is a much bulkier diff, meatier gears and stuff like that, and is readily available. So the guys tend to use it. I use that in my previous setup. Mine was short enough, custom shafts in solid spool, so it's locked. Some guys just weld the gears up to lock the diff up, and that seems to hold quite a lot of power. On my new setup now, it's full 9-inch shortened, proper imported shafts in there, genuine locker in there. It's a full drag suspension in there now, whereas the previous setup used to be on leaf springs. The M75 diff actually holds up very well.
So
the M75 is from, well, like you said, from a Hilux or those type of. So they obviously are much stronger than your normal diffs. Yeah. So coming back to your new setup, Tola, so tell us about your engine. I believe you've got the Barra motor in there. It's the inline 6 with a turbo, and it's got NOS on as well.
No NOS. Okay, yeah, it's the Barra 4-liter, 24-valve dual VCT. The motor was sponsored by Mike's Place. Thanks, Mike's, for the sponsorship. We got the NA motor from them. And then why we went that route was the end of 2018. I had a bit of a mishap, threw a rod through the block, destroyed everything, and then Siraj told me, hey, we got to change up. The class we're racing in, we're chasing 6 cylinders. Suspect is in the same class, which is a V8 twin turbo. Yeah, I'm in the same class with a 2-liter 8-valve single cam, trying to stay on top of the top dogs. And when the motor went bang, I said, you know what, just bite the bullet and do the conversion. And then as conversions go, you're busy with it, you know, oh yeah, you might as well do that, and you might as well do that, and you might as well do that. So now it's exactly 2 years later, alhamdulillah, the car's race ready.
So why do you might as well put a 2JZ in?
Why? Everybody does 2JZ. Why?
Whoa!
That's the reason.
Everybody knows why they put the 2JZs in, because they just last forever and you can get like 1,000 plus horsepower out of the stuff without braking. Also,
Really?
Raj, for his Supra's motor there.
To be honest, you can ask Raj. He offered a 2J. We take the 2J
Oh my word.
out of the Silver Supra, put it in the escort. I flat refused. I said no thanks.
Yeah, I know you kind of, it's like telling me to put a Ford engine in my Toyota that I race. I mean, you know, it doesn't feel right, if you know what I'm saying. And I've got an apple to peel with Ikraam, actually. I'll talk about this later on, because he's actually not a golf man. He's a Toyota guy. I don't know why he's racing these golfs. I don't understand. I really don't understand. But anyhow, we'll talk about it again. Byron, over to you.
So guys, like I say, drag racing, I don't know much about it, but what happens is, talking about, you said, of course, Tola, you don't use NOS, but the guys who do use NOS, now tell me more about that. Now, NOS is something I heard first time back all the way in 2001 when everybody was going on about Fast and the Furious. Now, tell me the advantages and disadvantages, both Ikraam, also Tola maybe as well.
Okay, I didn't say I don't use NOS. I said I'm not using NOS at the moment.
Oh, okay, there we go. That clears that up. So when you do use NOS?
To be honest, I love NOS. Yeah, it's power in a bottle. Look, it's the cheapest bang for buck. Be honest about it. What I just can't understand is why the guys was running sneaky. How you the way the subwoofer box, the door panels, under the dashboards. I mean, come on, if it's there, it's there. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Full view of everybody.
I had my NOS bottle right next to me. Right, with the gauge there. To watch the temperature, because my baby liked a hot bottle. It must be warm. Okay, let me put it to you this way. When I sort of seriously started drag racing, I had the RS2000, right? The best time of the RS2000 was a 14.3. Then I've got this Mark 1 that I've got now, was my brother's car. Right? It was involved in a hit and run, and the thing was smashed and just standing long, and his wife was moaning and standing in the way. Then I took the car from him. Then we took the complete drivetrain out of the RS2000, put it into the Mark 1. Okay, this time it was lightened. We drilled holes all over, cut the doors out. We just lightened the whole thing. Without doing anything to the motor and the box. It went in just like that. With retarded timing for the Nitrous, first run out we done a 13.6. From a 14.3 to a 13.6 just because of weight. Then we added the Nitrous, we went down to a 12.5. I mean, just the Nitrous system. Okay, in the full 1.1 second. I mean, it's bang for buck. It's lovely. You can ask Siraj on the side there. He used to use the Nitrous down the small little roads there in Stock and Salt River. So addictive it is. The only you've got to get your mixtures right. That's why the guy said, no, NOS is D and NOS is lust, your motor's going to blow. But if your mixture is right, then nothing is going to happen. Believe me, nothing is going to happen. Look at...
how easy is it? Sorry there, Tola. How easy is it to mix? Because now you're talking about taking nitrous oxide. I'm thinking of somebody standing here in a lab, you know, putting things together and everything like it. But now tell me about mixing. It's, you know, getting that mixture just right.
Yeah, look at your bottle pressure. That's important. Then the size of your nitrous jet and your fuel mixture, right? Fuel pressure plays a very important part. Then a lot of guys run nitrous, but they don't know where the bottle pressure is. So you at Killarney and you don't have a gauge on your bottle, and in this blistering heat, especially in summer days, that bottle pressure climbs. So automatically your mixture is going to be out. There's going to be too much nitrous, too little fuel. That's when you go bang. That's why I say the balance between fuel and nitrous, that's very important. If you got that, no problem.
Why don't you put a little bit of NOS on that standard tires of yours for Gymkhana? You'll see how you fly around it.
I want to give everybody a chance. It's fine.
So when you pull you pull off the lines out the NOS, and as you come into the first cone, you put on the NOS, you'll probably just fly past that cone anyway.
I'll fly out the back where the tankers are.
Byron, just hold on there. I want to ask Carl to play us that that video, the link with the video with the escort on the dyno. Carl, can you bring it up for us, please? Oh my word. 521 kilowatts. Is that 1,006 Newton meters of torque?
That's correct. 1,006.
Goodness. And you can cook breakfast on that turbo as well, you know.
My word. That's hectic. Holy golly.
Byron, that's a small turbo. Believe me, that's a small turbo, Byron.
Oh man, I want to see how big them they get. You know, everybody rocks up there with bigger and bigger and bigger turbos.
Also, you guys, that's small.
Okay, so Ikraam, you were non-turbo guy, right? You were NA guy, and the apple I have to peel with the NA guy. Yeah, what did I say now?
No, NA, naturally aspirated.
No, wow. If it's a Golf, it's not applicable. Only the Toyotas are applicable here. But anyhow, let's just talk about this. I've got an apple to peel with Ikraam, really, because he drives a Lexus ISF on the road. He loves Toyotas. He used to tune Toyotas, and then he bloody goes and build a Golf for drags. I don't know what his problem is. Really, I don't understand him. And he's my friend. So tell us about this, the cream car. Okay, the white car is awesome to drive. It's got a huge amount of torque. The cream car, I remember the time I drove that car, I actually became scared because it felt like this car was gonna, I don't know, like the whole body was gonna fall off from the chassis or something. It was so fast, this car. And now you're building a faster car. So tell us a little bit about the engine of the white car, and then a little bit about the engine of the two-door, and then a little bit about the engine of the new one that you're building, because it's got to be a progression there.
Okay, so Abdullah, you say you have an potato to peel with me, but you do know my brother used to ride a Fox. So
I know that, yeah.
He used to tune that Fox, and he used to ride obviously illegally with it, but he did quite well. I mean, he went up against a lot of people who he gave quite a good riding to with that little 1800, you know. And at that time, you know, Toyota is also quite expensive. Now you get the Beams engine. The time I started racing, you couldn't really find Beams motors available readily and so forth. And I bought a caddy bucket from Zaid Flores and saw Dave Ingle racing at Killarney also at the day where we have the, I think it was the GTI Jamboree, where we have the track day, we have the Gymkhana, and we have the drags and the oval racing. So it was on that, I think it was 2006 years when I was in my caddy bucket and he went flying past with a little 1800 and I had my 16 valve. So obviously this inspired me more to stick to VW. And that's the time when I bought that 1800 motor. Let's speak about the 2 liter. The 2 liter is the 1800 it's a 1.8 20 valve Dave Ingle special cams, throttle bodies, balanced engine, makes 165 kilowatts and 220 NMs, which is quite strong for a little 1800. It's got a LSD diff in, coil overs, etc. The 2 liter is obviously a bit better. It's got cat cams in, special valve springs, also built by Dave Ingle. He builds all my engines. We see pistons, high car motor, about 13.5:1. We're currently running the vehicle on ethanol, but not full ethanol. We obviously diluted with 95 and some lube. And there we're making 190 kilowatts and 258 NMs. So it's about, the last dyno run was 195, but I'd like to say 190 and 250. It was actually 195 and 258 torque, which is quite strong for an NA car, you know. It's both cars, the 1800 revs to 8.8, my 2-liter revs to 8.6, so I'm not leaving it as hard. Like I said, I found the day, I'll never forget when I did my first 12.6 or 12.7. Tola was the one said to me, well done, a long road to 11.9, but you're going to do it, Ikraam. And we got there to do 11.9. We backed it up a few times. We retired that car, like I said before. So the new project is also 2-liter. It's not a twin EVR, it's an FSI engine. Also big cams, fancy cams. The motors again built by Dave Ingle. We're doing a bit different. We're going dry sump. Again, street car. Trying to keep the car full street and as light as possible, but full street. Because normally my two-door is quite heavy. It weighs about 940 kilos. And 920 or somewhere around there. And my 4-door weighs about 985. So not very, they have like 50 kilo difference. I'm trying to get a car to weigh in at about 850 when I'm finished. I'm hoping so. So we're aiming obviously for low 11s. Let's hopefully that we get there. This one will be different because we'll be running a full sequential gearbox. Well, I haven't run that before. We'll be running dry sump. I've never tried that out before. I'll still have a full interior in, but I'll have a roll cage in the car to obviously keep me safe. Big brakes like all the other cars, coilovers, etc. A long way to finish, probably like maybe we say probably I'm hoping to pull the car out sometime middle this year.
Well, from what I can tell you, that car will definitely do a fantastically good time because there's going to be one part from a Toyota Yaris on that car. I can tell you now. And it's going to work 100%.
The power steering.
Yes. So you got a Toyota part in that car, that power steering, you're going to run. Your car's going to run. Trust me. Your steering will never break. So we're looking forward to this car, Ikraam. We're really looking forward. Actually, we're looking forward to you bringing that white car to a Gymkhana. Because, okay, I can't hold you to the last time because your health wasn't too well the last time. But I'm holding you. This is on a public platform. I'm holding you accountable for that white car coming to the next Gymkhana. And if you can't drive it, I'll drive that car for you. It's not a problem. But bring that car. You better be there. Because I know that car will do very well at the Gymkhana. Really, very well.
No problem. I'll definitely be there. Definitely be there.
I will give you guys. I'll have a date by next week. By next week, I'll have the dates there. Tola, coming back to you. Baron, you got some questions? You want to address some comments here quickly?
Just quickly, I think as well, Abdul, it would be great. It would be actually great, and I know we don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. But if that jamboree could be organised, it would be a lovely opportunity, I think, for a lot of us all to get together and have some good fun. Because what happens is, then maybe some of the guys and girls who've never seen drag racing close by or something like that can get to see it as well and see what everything is all about. And,
absolutely. I'm a firm believer in integrating motorsport. I mean, we do Gymkhana, but very few people know what Gymkhana is. Guys do drags. Not everybody knows what drags are. I mean, very few people knows actually the ins and outs of drags. So maybe the two of you can talk a little bit about how does, when you go, I know there's MSA Drags, and then you have the street drags. Am I correct?
Yes, we can street strip and MSA.
Yeah, robot also. Okay, let me just jump in here quickly.
Okay.
I'm talking way back now. When I started drags at Killarney, we started as street cars. And what happened, we used to full in runs for the big drag cars. When they used to cool down and we used to do the runs. Then from there, we used to have the street car challenge. Then we had to do drags and we had to do Gymkhana.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was way back then. And then it was fun. I'll admit that with RS 2000, I didn't know I can corner. We had to go through the cones like that. But we used to play around with both setups. And to be honest, it was fun. If that can come back, it will be great. And then we used to run a championship based on the points you earn at Gymkhana and the point you earn on the drags. They used to combine that, and that gave you points at the end of the year, and then there was a championship as well.
Yes. So what I'm hoping for is, I see there's a date open in June, a full day. So maybe what I want to do is that date, which we have the whole day available, is I want to actually try and organize a jamboree where we have, like, we have the Gymkhana, the drags, as well as maybe two or three runs around the short circuit. So because if we do the main circuit, the guys have to change their brakes and all the rest of the stuff, and it's a bit dangerous. So yeah, so that is. So take us through. So currently, what classes are there in drags? I mean, how does it work currently? I've got no clue how it works. I mean, I just go and see the guys blasting off the line.
Okay, currently the classes have changed so much over the years.
Way too much.
You get your NA class, your street class, NA 4-cylinder front-wheel drive. You get your real turbo front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive. Class it's mixed up like that. NA cars, rear-wheel drive. The rear-wheel drive cars and the front-wheel drive cars are in the same class. Then it's just split up for, according to your NA turbocharged stuff like that, and then you get your open class. So you get the open class for the NA cars, and you get the open class for the turbocharged cars. First, previous years, they used to break it down to your capacity, but there was a lot of cheating going on. But to be honest, every year it comes out and it's different. They change the classes, mix it up every flipping time.
And part of the reason why motorsport is going backwards instead of forwards, instead of keeping a formula and making the formula successful, they keep on changing it. It happens in all motorsport forms. I mean,
yeah, that's true. But we had the classes that they ran with. They used to call it the speed and sound classes. That was perfect because it used to be 4-cylinder front-wheel drive, 4-cylinder rear-wheel drive in a cars. Then you used to get your turbo only, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. Then it was the combination of the two. If you ran turbo and NOS, and then you used to get your open classes, etc., etc. But Kilani used to complain, too much classes, too many trophies, blah, blah, blah. And then they used to mix it up all the time. But at the moment now, it is, you get your open class for front-wheel drive, for NA, you get your open class for turbocharge. Then you get your 4-cylinders, your 6-cylinders, your 8-cylinders. They just try to break it down and have as few classes as possible. And that actually chased a lot of guys away. Because now 1600s running up against your 2 liters, against your 2.3 liters, against your strokers. Yeah.
That is the biggest problem. I agree with Tola. We had, and I also agree that we should run the speed and sound classes where they have 4AF, 4AB, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, and then they move on to street cars. He's 100% right. There was way too many issues with C class, B class. Am I right, Tola? We had C class, we had B class, A class, and then you have a C class car. It can be a Uno Turbo in there, but you run in an 1800. The next car is B, is above 2 liter, but up to 300 cc. Then a guy runs 3000 cc, and he can run 2.3. So, yes, it was a bit of a nightmare at that time.
So maybe you guys must just, put it all together and submit it to the powers that be, because at the end of the day, motorsport, not just the drags, but all the other forms of motorsport, and Byron will agree on this, it's dying. The numbers are dwindling because they're not listening to the people that are actually driving. They're listening to the wrong people. That's
true, I totally agree. That's why we said keep the classes simple. They had classes like, especially I'm talking about we in Cape Town call MSA Drags, right?
Right.
They had full slicks, they bump your class up. Semi-slicks. So I said, you know what? The hell with that. We all here, MSA, so to call MSA cars are the more serious guys. So I said, leave slicks there. Leave it open. So if you put on slicks, you stay in your class. And it just made it so much simpler because what the guys used to do back then, they go through scrutineering with semis on, dot approved. Get back into the pits and they put slicks on.
Oh my word.
Just keep it simple. Keep it simple. But we fight with them already. And that's one of the reasons when I built the Mark 1 Escort. I was one of the first guys to come to put that time. It was Class X. They said, why do you want to come with a Class X car? I said, you know what? I can do with this car what I want to.
Correct.
I'm going to push one class to the other class, and from there I stayed in the open class all the time, and it was the best fun I ever had.
Right.
Nobody picture, Mona, I've got this in, and then I've got that in. Then I used to run with Nitrous, and then the next meeting the Nitrous is out again. Then I try this, then I class. And there was a time when I used to dominate the class with the 8-valve 2-liter.
You know, at the end of the day, you wanna get more and more people to come and drive. So keep it simple, keep it cost effective, keep the politics out of the sport, and just drive for fun. But you know what? Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Except in Gymkhana, I must say. You know, any guy comes with politics, we just kick him out, and he can drive some other form of motorsport. He doesn't come to us. We just don't allow it. So, Tola, coming back to you. So this new this inline 6, right? This is an Australian Ford motor, am I correct?
That's correct, yes.
So it's interesting engine, this. I mean, it's a lot of kilowatts. It's 561 kilowatts. How are you going to actually put that power down?
Okay, let me break it down to you this way. The whole course changed. I basically used just the shell.
Okay.
And the front wheels. Even the rear wheels is wider now and everything. Because let me break it down to you like this. First, the car used to be on leaf springs at the back.
Okay.
With the 5 diff. It's now got a full 4-link drag suspension in there with proper drag shocks, dual adjustable shocks. And I went, the last tire I raced on was a 28 by 10.5. Right now, there's a 32 by 14 inch one, so it's quite wide.
32 inches wide.
Sorry?
32 inches wide.
No. The circumference of the tire is 32 inch.
Oh, okay, right.
The width of the tire is 14 inch.
Yeah, the width of the rim, the width or the size of the rim?
The width of the rim and the tire is 14 inch at the moment.
Oh my word. It's wide. Yo.
Yeah, it's wide. And then, but the suspension that is in there now, the videos went viral when we were testing it on the road.
Okay.
Right. The grip on the car at the moment is phenomenal. Okay, it's on 1-bar boost, right? At 521 kilowatts, 2006 newtons, that's on 1-bar boost. The reason why we didn't push it further than that, we were scared of the gearbox that was in there.
Okay.
That was in there was a R154, which is a 5-speed super gearbox.
Okay.
Right? That is rated at 800 Newton meters, and we were already on 1,000, so we didn't push it further.
Yeah.
Okay. Since that time till now, we've changed the gearbox. Right? The box that is in there now is a close ratio box with the 4th gear is 1:1. With the previous box, the 4th gear was 1:1. So Byron, the 8 comes in again. So now I'll be using 5 gears instead of 4 gears. Right? Which the close to each other. 4th gear is long, the 1st gear is long, 2nd gear is long, and 3rd, 4th, 5th is very close to each other.
Okay.
Very short ratios, yeah.
With traction and everything, this wide tires and that, and the suspension alone makes a big difference, traction-wise.
Okay, so just before we get Ikraam on, I'm going to ask Kyle to play us the golf, the video of the golf on the dyno. Kyle, can you get that video up quickly, if you don't mind? Oh my word. I didn't see what it was, but I just know it's a moorsie amount of kilowatts and torque on that little bloody 2 liters. So I can tell you guys.
Quite an old video. We did the higher power later on, but you know also what else is not power, like Tola was saying, your gear ratios is most important. Long first and second, short third and fourth, over the line at the end or the end of fifth. That's more important than just getting power. I can tell you, when I made 195 kilowatts, I was sticking around to the 12-1 and 12 dead. As soon as I went down to 190, 188, and a bit of torque away, I stopped wheel spinning. I remember Tola putting the GoPro one day on the side of the Golf. You remember, Tola, to see the wheel spin? And we saw we actually spinning into third gear. I reduced power and I immediately went down to 11.9. So sometimes more power, but in a bigger wheel. Blow up the arches. And I didn't want to cut up that car because the car was so neat. So yes, then again, I'm sure I would have brought that car down to maybe like 11.7 if I had the correct tire, if I had a bigger tire, maybe 24.5 and change the gear ratios again. I didn't want to blow up the fenders and cut up the car. The car is just too neat to actually destroy like that.
So you know what I find amazing? That's a standard, not a standard. That's a full-blown licensed road car, but they expect you to drive against a car that's cut up. So how does that even make? Is that in the same class? These two cars?
No. So the cut-up car will obviously be in a different class.
Okay.
But the classes recently has changed a lot. I haven't been to the track racing for a while. I have been there watching, but not really racing. Hoping to come back this year, definitely. But there's obviously a different class. But Tola will tell you, me, Tola, Ashraf, the Ali brothers, Patches, quite a few guys that was involved with we used to do bracket racing and the year trophy, heads up and brackets. And then you have a fair chance. So maybe I go against Tola and he dials in maybe 10 and I dial in 12 flat, then I get a 2-second head start. And that obviously shows who's the better driver at the end. So depends. Look, the classes now might change. We're not too sure. We are hoping that they will have a street car class still. Not really for me, but more for to bring more people in to getting them off the street and from street to step an actual MSA event. Because they obviously want to compete correctly. Like maybe the speed and sound classes, which is actually I think one of the best classes. Because when we go to PE, they run the speed and sound. When we go to Durban, I think they run the speed and sound classes. Joburg has got the speed and sound classes. So I think Cape Town just needs to add that to their list and to be much better.
Okay, Byron, you have some questions, I believe.
Oh, well, actually, just going on based on what Ikraam has actually been saying about getting more people involved, and also the important thing, getting people off the street. Especially that's done quite a lot for, for taking guys and girls off the street and bringing them onto the track over the years, because that's always been a controversial subject here in Cape Town still as well. There's a lot of illegal street drag racing. So how's that actually, have you seen a swell in the last few years of guys and girls coming from the streets onto the track?
I think the robot has increased a lot. Am I correct by saying this?
Sorry, say again?
I say the robot racing has increased a lot. The robot to robot racing.
Yeah, that was an initiative of City of Cape Town. I think it was sponsored by the Lotto or something like that. They had the robot to robot. That actually grew big time. Big time. It took a lot of the cars off the street. To be honest, we know you'll never ever get all the guys off the street. That's just impossible.
No, of course not.
Yeah, I mean, let's say, but the first street race happened when the second horse came to town. So they'll never get it off the street. They can minimize it, But then again, the cops don't play their part as well. The guys go to robot to stay off the street. Then what happens? They come. Everything is finished. They come from Killarney and the cops pull them over. So they're shooting themselves in the foot.
I agree with you. Too much. Way too much.
Yeah, they try to get the guys off the street, and they're chasing the guys back to the street again. So yeah, it will always be an issue, to be honest.
Okay, Byron wants to address some of the comments quickly.
Sure, there's quite a lot of comments coming through over here as well. Abdul, I see Bianca Olaf Sefuri, a Windhoek Motor Club, Tony Rust racetrack. So it just shows you where everybody's listening from, all the way up in Namibia. There's a lot of straight roads in Namibia, hey? So some very fast driving up in that part of the world.
And Byron, I saw a good comment earlier on about the Gatsby's.
I've raced in Namibia quite a few times. It's lekker.
You've raced in Namibia?
Drags there.
Okay, there's a little incident that I want to hear about that happened in East London with you and Ikraam. Not between you and Ikraam. You and Ikraam were instrumental in starting this incident. And I want to hear... Oh, Tola started this. Okay. I want to hear about this incident. Actually, what happened in East London. Let us hear about this. But just maybe before we go into that, okay, wait, let's go into the incident first. Talk about this incident that happened at East London. So we asked Tola to start because he started the whole thing in East London. Ikraam was just the driver.
Yeah, one almost instigator. Okay, it was simple. There was another guy from that area. He had like I think it was a kit car with a rotary in. And you know, you get the guy, hulle praat die kar vandag. Then he wanted to take B on, but I check this time and said, "No man, leave Marco, I've got a little city golf for you." I said,
You laughed.
he laughed. I said, "Okay, that is a golf one," but when I told him city golf, then he knew what it was. Then I told him around there. So I said, "Take the guy. You can explain further."
Yeah. And
Okay, let me just get the story straight. So there was this rotary Mazda, like a kit car, which is obviously very light,
Yeah.
right? And it was a bit breaker, if I can understand. I don't know the guy, but I mean, he was obviously a bit bragging about how fast his car was.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Ikraam, you take it a little bit further now.
yeah, and obviously my brother came forward. It was Muhammad, my brother, Riaz, the whole team at Romney helps, Rian, all of them. And then we lined the car up and told us to take the guy on. And we ran down the strip, and I think I was maybe 5 or 6 or 7 cars in front of him. Got to the end, he
With
wouldn't
his
shake
golf,
my
with
hand,
the cream golf.
or the cream golf. He
With
just said
The
no.
two-door, okay.
Yeah, then he said no, something happened. I said, okay, let's have a rerun. We went back, we had another rerun. I think Tola had a big laugh because the guy was like a city golf. And the second time also, we rode him. We obviously took him another maybe 4 or 5 car gap length. Yeah, so they always say never underestimate the city golf, no matter where you go, what you do.
There's always a golf one than you.
I just want to address something quickly. I see Bianca is the secretary of the Witzenberg Motor Club, right? So, Bianca, I'm gonna put you on a spot here because we know you guys gonna come and race Gymkhana and drags in Cape Town. I never see you guys here. Maybe you guys come and drag, but I've never seen any of you guys at the Gymkhana yet, Bianca. So maybe you must. Oh, not Bianca. Sorry, Rianca. Okay. Well, somebody is the secretary of the Witzenberg Motor Club. So maybe you must just send Carl your details and we can liaise and maybe get some of you guys on from Witzenberg and talk about motor racing up there. I don't know, you guys drive in the desert or something. I don't know. I mean, I know Witzenberg is far from here, but maybe you guys can talk about motorsport happening in Witzenberg. That's a good idea. Carl, bring up that video of that escort before we finish the story of this this juicy story of this East London race. I want to hear what happened at the end.
Here we go, Daniel's in the right-hand lane versus that chap you saw earlier. They had a bit of a close call, but I'm sure they'll sort those issues out now with this round. Only second though, his third round for the day. Let's go, Tola, let's go. Only second round for the only third round for the day, but his second proper round, I'm sure. Getting decent launches. Tola's car's a little bit pulling to the one side there. But it always has been quite loose, but the car does pull to the one side quite aggressively. So here we go. Again he says that there's something wrong with that car. That car's pulling to the side very aggressively. And again so close to the wall. Oh my goodness me. Down there for the left-hand lane, over quick. It's on 10.469. 10.469 at 215 kilometers an hour.
Tola, was it your car doing that?
Yeah, that was the second, 2 consecutive runs. The first run was
What the hell happened? What the hell happened there?
Okay, after it happened the second time when we inspected one of the rear bearings failed on the that's what is pulling aggressively to the one.
Well, that's very aggressively. Oh my word.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so go on about the story of East London. So you beat the guy twice, right? With his super fast Mazda rotary, whatever.
Yeah, it was almost like in East London. He was from East London and we were from Cape Town. So let's do an East London versus Cape Town type of thing. And that's when Tola said, I've got a little golfy for you, city golf, you know. And yeah, we had 2 runs, and believe it or not, you know, when we were done with the run, he wouldn't even shake my hand. I walked up to him, I shook his hand, and he just looked at me, got back in his car and walked away. I felt very bad. It's part of racing. It's obviously a little city golf, like Tola said.
Yeah.
And yet the track wasn't really prepped at that event. So I wasn't doing like some crazy times. I was doing like maybe like 12.5s or 12.6s because a lot of wheel spin, you know. But it is what it is, and we went down to have fun and we enjoyed it. Imran, yes, Imran also yes, East London was epic. Yes, it was Imran. Yes, it's not prepared. It wasn't a track prepared like Cape Town. So obviously we couldn't expect Cape Town time, but we had a good time. We had a lot of fun. It was nice going down with the crew, enjoying ourselves, having fun, you know, and coming back home again.
Right. So just as a heads up for next week.
I've always enjoyed the away races. East London, PE. I've even raced in KZN. I've raced in Namibia a couple of times. The problem is the guy said, why do you want to go down there? There's no traction. But if you've done it once, just for the atmosphere, the guys are welcoming there. You know, it's great. I enjoy those away races, out of town races as we call them. And also any of the other guys. Yeah, it's a lekker time, especially if you go in a crew. You get to know each other, you gel, you help each other. It's fantastic.
I think that's important. It's the fun that you're having that's important. The memories that you create, you know, doing these races and stuff. I remember we went to, and I was still doing circuit racing. We went down to Scribanti to do there was enduro. I think it was I'm not sure if it was a 3-hour that time. And we went down with a friend of mine's Corolla, and it was epic. Epic. We won our class in this Corolla, but it was epic. I mean, we went down and towed the car down. It was just really, and you're right, away races are absolutely awesome. And it was just, you know, we left, I think we left on the Thursday, we got there, we set the car up on the Friday. And Scribanti is a beautiful track. Scribanti is absolutely brilliant. It's a tight track. And I think I got in our class, I got the fastest time, the lap time for that day, but it's an awesome track. If you guys ever do circuit racing and you want to go drive a fantastic track at Scribanti, brilliant track, very tight, but very, it's the beautiful track. Okay,
short track as well.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful track. Just before we, there's another video there of Ikraam racing somebody, but I just want to give you guys a heads up for next week. So we've never had a motorcyclist on yet. So next week we have an Arushan Moodley. Arushan Moodley used to, I can't remember who he raced for actually. I'm not sure it was a Suzuki or Honda. When I raced saloon cars, and he won the championship one year, and we having him. I spoke to him today, and we're having him on next week on the show from the motorcycle perspective. So I also want to just, while I'm at it, before I forget, I want to thank the Facebook viewers and whoever has joined us on all the social media platforms. We know what, we really appreciate your comments and we're all part of one big motorsport family, and that's the whole idea, is to be part of one non-political motorsport party, should I put it that way. I'm emphasizing non-political because we're all about fun. That's rule number one. You come to Gymkhana, rule number one is having fun. So Kyle, just bring up the video, and then in closing, I want to ask Tola and Ikraam just to give their views on motorsport, why it's in the position where it is now, and what do they think can take it out of this position. So bring up the video, Kyle, and we'll chat about that afterwards.
Come, Ikraam, come.
By my calculation, this is going to not going to be fun. And when he smokes it up, I don't know why everybody's like waving it away. You must dance for it. You must see what it but it's too late and Ikraam starts pulling away and using a victory roadblock. Copy line 12 for Ikraam 12.
Sure. Well, we wish that Cream car a good abode. I believe the car's going to be sold soon as a road car to somebody out of, I don't know where. I can't say too much here. But let's just say, well, whoever gets that Cream car is going to have a lot of fun. So Byron, well, and Tola and Ikraam. So every aspect of motorsport today is in a deep, deep hole. You guys, drags, circuit racing, rallying. I think rallying is almost kind of non-existent. Everything. From a drags perspective, and you guys can answer it, together or individually, or whatever you want to. What do you think is the problem? Number one, we spoke about the problems. There are too many classes, it become too expensive, it costs too much to hire the track, blah, 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 all these things, right? Too much politics. What is the solution? That is more important. How do we get out of this ditch that we're in to make motorsport tops again? I'm going to start with Tola because he's the eldest.
Yeah. Biggest problem is the politics. That's the biggest problem. They've got to make it affordable for everyone, to be honest, because this time when it just be, you spend so much money on your car, then they still expect you to pay a hell of an entry fee, right? And it's not affordable for everyone. So I'm just giving an example here. We normally had a big event at the end of the year at Killarney. This year didn't happen. Then they wanted to make it on the 16th of December. They wanted to make the entry fee 2,000 Rand.
2,000 Rand per entrant?
Per entrant if you wanted to race. And that only allowed you, a driver, and one pit crew member. You understand, it's COVID, there's no spectators, right? But why make it so expensive? If you look at all other faculties, it wasn't so expensive. It chased everybody away. Then they turned it into a strip to strip at 400 Rand. Now you ask me, what is the difference between the street to strip and that MSA event of 2,000 Rand? I mean, it's a 1,600 difference. The only difference is that the track wasn't prepped, right? The timing system was up. So the only thing you're losing out was prep, and they didn't give you timing slips. Now, sorry for my language, where the hell can a timing slip and track prep cost each racer an extra 1,600 Rand? That alone kills it. Because all about it wasn't for the racer anymore. It's just the host was, how much money can we make out of this? And that's what's killing the sport. They not put the money back into the sport.
Right.
Money back into the sport. That's what's killing the sport.
I think I agree with Tola on that because it's been a struggle for long because besides the 2,000 entry fee, where's your lunch, your meal money for the day, your pit crew, your fuel? There's a lot more added to it. So by the day when you finish, you spend like 4,000 Rand if you're going to spend. If you take all the necessary, if something breaks, it's even more money. So we've even like before when you enter and you come late and you enter not on the 3 days before, you even pay a penalty. It's not affordable anymore. It's becoming very hard. So this is also not helping the sport grow, and it's actually growing the streets, making it more unsafe for people to because look, anybody guy buys even a Golf 6 or Golf 7. Say the guy buys even a Golf 5 GTI Turbo. He wants to see how fast his car is, what times he can do. By coming into Killarney, he actually gets to see his time, see how much fun it is. Move on, maybe do Gymkhana, maybe do oval track racing, maybe stay into drags. But normally there is some start. You know what I'm saying? And needs to be affordable. It has to be affordable.
Okay, I see some interesting comments about it. When I address the last two comments, Byron.
I will do that, and I've got Pravesh Balgobint. I hope I pronounced his surname correctly. He said, affordability to enter and race for fun, race for the fun of it. Run your time yourself and not for others, and that's actually my sentiments. And many sentiments of many of the entrants want to run for the for the fun of it, for themselves. It's not about becoming a world champion. It's not becoming for SA colors or whatever. It's about that. And if you're going to chase that particular person away, you're killing the sport, because what happens is I always believe that more entrants are always better. I'd rather have 50 guys and girls entered than to rather see 6 out there, and it's a formality. So for me, I think that's always a thing. I know there's the big arguments between the governing bodies and everything like that, and the organization and things like that, and of course checkbook racing, which is always a big thing I always talk about, which really kills everything because it just puts everything out of the reach of everybody else. And Ikraam and Tola have knocked the nail right there as well. You're paying this huge entry fee, but you still got to take care of your car. You still got to eat on the day, everything, And what happens is if that's unaffordable, then people are just going to rather stay at home and watch TV.
Byron, something interesting. I'm going to race in Namibia. It's cheaper for me. Honestly, check out this. Our entry fees varies from 250 to 400 Rand per entrant with national licenses on any of the codes per race. Now, that's affordable because, I know that circuit racing, the guys are paying 1.5 grand to enter. You haven't moved off the line yet. You pay 1,500 Rand. So this is a big problem. And the question is, how are we going to address this? Maybe I should get somebody on from the the organizing committees or some of the event organizers or the controlling bodies, get them on the show and get a representative from each motorsport division, like one from drags, one from circuit racing, one from rallying, one from motorcycles, one from all these, and ask them and ask them these questions, because this seems to be an ongoing problem. And this is not the first time. You guys talking from drags. Last week we spoke about last week it was drifting. Same problem. The week before it was some other form of motorsport. Same problem. Week before some other same. So it's kind of becoming an elitist sport. In other words, only the guys with the big checkbooks. Well, no more checkbooks, but the guys with the big EFTs. Now they call it EFTs, right? They're the guys that are allowed to race. What about the man in the street that wants to do it for fun? And that is kind of where I am so excited with the Gymkhana, because you can come with your standard road car. No license required, no fancy equipment. You come and you drive and you have a jaw for the day. And we still fight. We pay 500 Rand for the entry, which is still a lot as far as I'm concerned, but we will talk about that at a later stage because that goes to the venue hire. But still, that's kind of affordable for most people. So, and you're allowed to bring a couple of people with you. So for 500 bucks, you can come and drive a Gymkhana with a normal road car or any car that you wish to. That to me is like kind of good. So why can't it go over into drags? Why can't it go over into circuit racing? Why can't it go? I don't know. I'm just saying, because I don't know how the event organizers run their businesses. And maybe that's the problem. It's the passion is gone and it's become a business now.
No, exactly that. I'll make the comparison again. Like Killarney had been talking from drags. It had the numbers. But you know what the problem at the moment? It's like they're doing a favor. You know what I'm saying? So in other words, you don't agree with anything we do, to hell with you. That's the attitude. Now, coming back to the 2,000 Rand entry, what happened was earlier in the year, okay, I won't mention names. Somebody hired the track, had an event there, invited a couple of guys. There they charged 2,000 rand to enter. Right?
Okay.
The guys were didn't race the whole year. The guys who had the money went to race. And we said, this is going to cause a problem. Just watch come the end of the year when Kilwana is going to have an event again, it's going to be 2,000. And it was exactly the same thing. It happened 2,000 and event. Then they came back crying, why is all the guys going to Port Elizabeth? Because the guys at Port Elizabeth charged 700 rand to race. Right? 1,300 rand difference. And it was 700 rand plus 3 pit crew members. Remember COVID? No spectators.
Yeah.
And the PE track, they must hire the timing system. Killarney has its own timing system.
Correct.
So, it doesn't compute. Why must it be so expensive? Then they come back around, you're not supporting us, you're not supporting us. But they're the ones chasing the people away. And the same, like, it's a pleasure to go race in PE at the moment because they welcome you. They treat you like they want you there. They don't chase you away. And that's what the racer wants. You want to feel at home. You want to feel appreciated. At the moment at Killarney, it's not happening. So I can only talk from Killarney because that's my home track. Right? But at the moment now, Mapa was, there's even bigger things going to happen in this year coming now as far as drags is concerned, because there's things happening in the background. Right? I won't open that bottle of rather leave it. But I already made up my mind, right? If it's going to hit the fan, I'm sorry to say, my first race with this Escort, it took me 2 years to build. I want to debut this car at Killarney, but the way things are going, it will probably be PE. I'm sorry to say that, but that's just the way things are going. So the organizers need to look at everything and ask themselves, why aren't the numbers coming to the track? They're the reason why the numbers are not coming to the track.
Okay. I think that's why. Sorry, guys. Gareth Fareed's actually put a question in here. I know it was flashed on the screen very briefly. So, as a question, he says, what does the entrance cover? Track maintenance, track overheads, ambulance staff? So, it just shows you, there's a whole lot to goes on, but does it have to be so much? What does it all cover?
Well, Byron, it depends what you're paying. I mean, as we sit in here, none of us get paid for racing, right? Kyle does this for nothing because he's passionate about motorsport. I'm making an example. But if you want to get paid a lot of money to do something, then you're going to have to charge a lot of money to provide that service, which means you're not doing it passionately. You're doing it because you're making for the money. So that's where the whole problem comes in. If it's about money, it's going to cost. If it's about passion, it's a different story. You understand what I'm saying? So somehow we have to actually, we actually have to get and sort this out. And I mean, maybe you guys should have a meeting with the organizers and discuss this with him. And then I think it's important.
I think those meetings has been, and Tora will say there's been a lot of back in the past meetings held, and nothing really happens from there. It's I think what you're saying, Abdul, about being passionate about it is, if the event organizer has that passion we have, things will be different. In a point where when I say event organizer, maybe like MSA or Killarney, if they understand the passion of the racer and want to keep people at the track, I can tell you from the time from 2016, 15, 16, the last big numbers at MSA was then. Am I right, Tola? 17. And thereafter, it just died. MSA, if you got 3 runs or 4 runs in for the day, you were blessed because it was full. We don't see that anymore. The last time I took my car out in 2018 to see if we could still do its time, or was it 19? One of the two. I think I did like 10 runs on the day and I could still go and run further. So that shows you that a lot of people are leaving. And I can tell you, whenever you're speaking to anybody today, they're all telling you, let's go racing PE. Let's go racing PE. Siraj just mentioned earlier on that it's a home away from home. And I agree with him, because when you get there, the people like Imran Rashidin and whoever and all the other guys, they're always welcoming you. They're always trying to arrange accommodation, meals, trying to sit at the track. etc. So, like Tola said, it's not too far. It's maybe 6-7 hours drive. And if Kilani is not going to come to the party, surely people are going to go there.
You know what? This is actually quite interesting. This discussion is going crazy. I must be honest with you guys, and I think we're gonna. I don't know, Carl. What I saw something about the connection issues here. Is it because going viral or what?
No,
Just what?
it's too little.
Oh,
It's been
Maybe you should organize some kind of event in PE, and you could speak to Imran Rashidin. He could assist you with it. Maybe you should organize and also make it maybe a drag event at the same time. You know,
maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do that. Like, you know, and you know, people need, in my opinion, we're passionate about racing, whether it's drags, whether it's Gymkhana, whether it's circuit racing, whether what, it doesn't matter what it is. Cause a car that makes a noise, that smokes and makes a lot of, and it's fast, that's motorsport. Whether it goes in a straight line, whether it goes side, doesn't matter what it is. At the end of the day, we do it for the love of it. We're doing this for the love of the sport, to grow the sport. So if people don't want to come to the party, we're going to move the party. That's what it's about.
It's a good way of doing it.
That's why, as Kilani guys, most of them, okay, I haven't raced in a while now, but that's why they're moving the party, they're moving it to PE. That's why Siraj could say PE is the home away from home, because you're more appreciated in PE than you are appreciated at your home. So, I mean, it's food for thought. You're script means. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? You know what? It's actually, you know, this gives me some serious, a serious thing here, because maybe I should actually get these guys to come on the show one night, and ask them the same questions, because they need to have answers for this, because this is a serious concern for me. Why? Because it's about motorsport. It's dying.
Yeah.
It's very simple. And I mean, here's another good comment here. When it comes to Kilani, the attitude is that they are doing the racers a favor by hosting drags. So,
No, that's what I said.
you know, that's sad. That's sad.
I mean, I've got into a heated debate already with organizers at Kilani. So I told him, you know what? This stupid clown is paying your circus to come and perform at the circus. It should be the other way around. You know what I'm saying? So that's the attitude. You take it or you leave it.
And this is becoming, for me, it's sad. Why? It's sad because why do we have to go to PE to enjoy ourselves? We can do it 25 kilometers from our house. If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what the saddest part is? The guys from PE, Tola, if you remember, used to come to our base to come and race.
Yeah.
Because they never had a decent drag circuit. They fixed that track up of these retarded, and now everybody's running from Cape Town to PE because they're actually hosting us. So obviously by PE losing people, they decided, let's do something about it so we can keep our people back in PE. And now they're not just doing that, they're also drawing the Cape Town crowd. It's sad. I mean, Ashraf Ali was the one who made that comment earlier on, and he's an old drag racer there. Come rain, sunshine, they people are there, the Ali brothers, Patches and them. I mean, they've been hardcore all the years. For them to feel that way also, it's really huge.
Oh my word, guys! We have to end this conversation on I mean, it's going for an hour and a half. We can go on for another 3 hours.
Yeah,
so I actually don't know what to say, but this has to be addressed, and maybe this is a good platform to address it. Not to really, I don't know. We must maybe have a chat about this, and how can we actually? You guys can handle the drags. We'll handle the Gymkhana. We'll get some guys. We need to sit together as passionate motorsport people, and we have to work our way forward. Really, that to me is going to, because everybody seems to have the same issue, and that's quite interesting. So, guys, I'm sorry to cut you short here, but Ikraam hasn't had supper, Tola hasn't had supper, Byron hasn't had supper. I'm the only one that had supper because I knew the conversation was going to go on for a long time. I really want to thank
No. My wife loves me. I had supper before this already.
Oh, well, your wife's wise. Listen to your wife, Tola, all the time. So, you know what? You know, I just want to thank our Facebook viewers. What is? I mean, there's so many comments here. I don't even know what to do. I must be honest with you guys. And all I can say is, you know, if this be the platform to express our views in a correct manner, in changing motorsport, in making it better, getting more people on board, making it more affordable. So be it. I don't know what you think, Byron, but that's my thoughts.
No, I agree with you, Abdul. Now, looking at our comments here, I want to actually personally thank everybody, all racing fans, drag racing fans, in the comments, but also as well to hear from our neighbors, to hear from Namibia, Rianka, and I've seen her putting out how many names on there as well of people that are involved in the Windhoek Motor Club. I saw the name of Alan Martin, who's a multiple rally champion in Namibia, and he's Mr. Gymkhana for 2020 for them. They only had one event, but what happens is it looks good that motorsport looks strong in Namibia, and I think we can learn something from that as South Africa. And
Well,
I hope we can follow the lead, and we'd love to. You know what? Like I say, that we welcome them with open arms to come down here and join us, and we would love to come join you as well.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be speaking to Derek Jacobs. I know Derek. He used to be at MSA offices in Cape Town, and he's in Namibia. He's running the offices of the Namibian motorsport in Windhoek. I'll have a chat with him as well, because I can get his ideas and see what happens. But anyhow, guys, Tola, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. We really appreciate your time. I know I overstepped my time, and Ikraam as well. Thank you so much for being on the show. It was an absolute awesome show. I learned so much about drag racing. I learned so much about the grievances you guys have having with your part of motorsport. And you know what? Let us put our heads together as a group of people that are passionate about motorsport. Let us put our heads together and work out a solution to this big, serious issue that we're having with motorsport here in Cape Town, or I would say in South Africa. So thank you so much for the Facebook comments and all the viewers on Facebook, YouTube, on Twitch, on whatever social media platforms there was. And we're soon going to have the tuners on as well. This is going to be an interesting conversation when we have Siraj and his crew on about, they know, it's going to be awesome. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Tola, once again. Thank you, Ikraam. Thank you, Byron. Thank you, Carl, for the background.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Ikraam. Thanks, Tola. Thanks,
Very
Abdul.
good show, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure.
No, it's always a pleasure. I
Pleasure.
look forward to seeing you guys in the future at Gymkhana to get some awesome footage.
Absolutely.
We'll
Thank you,
definitely
Carl. Yeah, and thanks to the viewers. I'll chat to you guys next week with episode 14 with Arusha Moodley, a motorcycle champion. Used to drive for one of the factory teams, and his 11-year-old son, who's going to join him, who's also started racing motorcycles as well. So next week we're having the motorcycle guys on, and I'll see you guys soon. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful 2021. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
guys.
the better the world.